Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Midday Live from the News Hub. My name is Portia Gabo. Coming up this afternoon. Government to meet Mortuary Workers Association today to avert possible strike. And strike by colleges of education teachers begins to bite hard 2 weeks into the industrial action. Coming up in business, as Finance Minister prepares to deliver the 2019 budget, we gauge expectations of key industry players. Coming up in international news, Theresa May faces a crunch cabinet meeting later as she tries to win colleague support for a draft Brexit agreement. We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. In our very first story, members of the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana have vowed to enforce their intended strike next week if government fails to meet the expectations by Wednesday, November 14. Government, through the Ministry of Health, has scheduled a meeting with leadership of the mortuary workers to find a lasting solution to their concerns. A report by Sarah Parku.
This is the Panther Mortuary on Tuesday. The over 5-decade-old facility cannot boast of a decent waiting area. Aside its deteriorating state, it looks abandoned with little maintenance work done. Madame Rose Mowley is a client waiting to access the service of the morgue. She is here to see the body of her late daughter, whose body is being preserved at the Panther Mortuary.
I wouldn't be happy if there's nobody here. I will make any effort to enter to take my body, because if there is nobody here, I can't leave my daughter here and go away. I don't like here. The condition of the place is not wealthy. And the first time I come here, I saw many things here what is not right.
This is what is likely to happen if government fails to meet the demands of these workers. The meeting between the leadership of the mortuary workers and government is expected to avert the intended strike, which will end up inconveniencing many Ghanaians. Mortuary workers in the country are set to embark on a strike next week Tuesday over what they describe as poor working conditions. The workers say the decision comes on the back of neglect by the Ministry of Health over their concerns. Government has scheduled a meeting with them on Wednesday. But ahead of the meeting, General Secretary of the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana, Richard Kofi Jordan, is warning government to come prepared.
We hope that tomorrow's meeting will bring some profound results, as it is in our release. We have seen death in different magnitudes, We are not joking.
Did you take the public into consideration when you were taking this decision?
I think we are not decision makers. We have decision makers, people we have charged with governance. They are in charge of decision making. They should be thinking about the public, not me, the ordinary worker who is stampeded. My right is stampeded all over the country. No.
Still on the labor front, let's go to the Ashanti region, where classrooms have been deserted 2 weeks into an industrial action declared by teachers of all 38 colleges of education across the country. The teachers are demanding payment of their market premium and other service conditions. This follows the elevation of the colleges of education into tertiary status. A report by Benjamin Edu.
The resumption of academic work at the various colleges of education a fortnight ago coincided with a strike by the teachers. As at the time of the news team's visit to the St. Louis College of Education in Kumasi, classrooms were empty with no academic activities as students roamed and chatted in groups. The only busy areas at the college were the school's administration block and the football pitch.
UCC has a fixed date for our exams, and we don't know if they are going to change it or not. And if it happens that they are not going to change it, it would really affect us. It will affect us, because if you don't pass your exam, you are supposed to pay an amount so that you can write your research exam. and we don't know if it happens, they are going to give us the receipt exams, the fees for free. So we are pleading with the government to bring our teachers back to us.
The situation remains same at the Wesley College of Education, the Offensive College of Education and Akrokere College of Education. President of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, SITAC, Prince Obinhima, told TV3 the teachers will no longer tolerate discrimination.
To be maligned, cheated, deceived, and discriminated against for far too long. You look at the fact that from 2004, when we started with the program, people have had to teach on this program, produce diploma holders, and now they are even bringing degree holders. From 2004 up to this time, look at the number of years. So we are simply asking government to extend to us in quantum terms the same amount that is paid to teachers who teach in other tertiary institutions and hold the same degree that we do and do the same work that we do.
A meeting between SITAC and the government on the grievances ended in a stalemate. Prince said the teachers will be going to court to seek legal interpretation on some thorny issues on their action.
The Media Coalition on the passage of the Right to Information Bill is counting down to tomorrow when Parliament is expected to pass the RTI bill into law. It is, however, unclear whether Parliament could meet this deadline. Well, joining me in the studio today is Sami Obing of the Parliamentary Network Africa. And Sami, good afternoon and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, thanks for having me.
Now, it's been like a merry-go-round, assurances upon assurances. Do you foresee that Parliament is really committed into passing the RTI bill into law?
Well, thank you very much. The merry-go-round situation, as you have described it, really gives us a reason to be worried, you know, and these promises that we have received from Parliament, ranging from people in high leadership position right up to the last parliamentarian, you know, and haven't been fulfilled in the past, gives us reasons to be very, very worried. Of course, in these recent times, because of the joint actions by civil society, the media, and members of the public, we are receiving some new refreshing assurances. And although we cannot trust Parliament too much to deliver on their promises, we are going to do our part by ensuring that there is constant pressure on our legislature to ensure they do the needful.
You talked about assurances. Now, the Speaker of Parliament is telling the media that before the House rises by December, it would be passed. Would you soften your stance now?
Well, we thank the Right Honourable Speaker for giving that assurance. I think that this is not the first time the Right Honourable Speaker has given an assurance on the Right to Information Bill. And so we would just want to let the Right Honourable Speaker, together with his leadership, know that it goes beyond the assurances. We want to see actions. And of course, we'll be in Parliament constantly to monitor. We'll be looking every step of the way, and we would make sure that we hold duty bearers to task in ensuring that by the end of the year, they do the needful.
You hold on. We've been joined via Skype by Mina Mensah. She is the regional coordinator of the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative. And good afternoon, Mina, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, Sami.
Now, Mina, the Speaker of Parliament is assuring that before the House rises in December, the bill is going to pass into law. Are you happy about this now?
You see me smiling. I've heard it before, several. So, I have a wait-and-see attitude.
Well, Mina, please hold on. Can you please sit up for us? Yes, that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that you saw me smiling in a very cynical manner.
I did.
Because I've heard these promises over and over and over again. And so until I see action, I'll just smile and say, well, I've heard it before. Let's see what happens.
Your coalition has been disappointed, especially by some members of Parliament who, according to you, are being like a standing block in the passage of this bill into law. Exactly what are your concerns?
Well, our concerns are that some members of Parliament think that this bill is for the media, which is so not true. Secondly, some members of Parliament think that although they've been voted to represent citizens of this nation, because the Constitution says that all power belongs to us, a lot of them think that they are there to represent themselves. So when you listen to some of their utterances, It is more like if we pass the law, this nation will be ungovernable. There will be too many people poking their nose into the affairs of governance. But at the end of the day, governance is for us. And their posturing also speaks to the fact that they really do not think that the citizens of Ghana deserve to know what is happening. And as far as some parliamentarians are concerned, all citizens are useful for is to vote for them, but accountability is out of it. So if we have a system of governance, democracy is government for the people, and we have members of parliament who do not think that we need to have the power that will cause us to access information and to hold them accountable and to develop and better our lives, then it's a cause for worry.
Now, Mina, there has been concerns especially about Clause 17 of the bill, which some say could be detrimental to governance. What do you think about this?
But that's exactly what I'm saying. How is that detrimental to governance? For example, I send you to go and buy tomatoes, and I'm asking for information on how you used maybe my money. Or I send you to represent me, and I'm asking you for information on how you made decisions. And you are saying that it is detrimental, especially if the decision is about things that has no national security implication. Because you see, what Clause 17 says is that even if there is an exempt information, that information ceases to be exempt if it is in the interest of the public. If it is in the interest of the public. So for me, I don't understand how a clause that is saying that, yes, you are allowed to exempt information, because mind you, information is for the people. We pay for it. If you are going to deny me information, you should tell me exactly why you are denying me information, and it should be based on law. It should not be based on convenience. So I'm sorry, if Clause 17 is inconvenient for some members of parliament, I mean, that shouldn't stop us from enjoying the benefits. So I think that it's just an unfounded fear that people, you know, that this the culture of we are the elites, we know it all, and it's better if we don't share too much information so that we are not required to answer certain very uncomfortable questions that we do not want to answer. That is, for me, that's what the attitude is.
Thank you very much, Mina Mensah. She is the Regional Coordinator of the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative. And still in the studio with me is Sami Obeng of the Parliamentary Network Africa. Sami, what next?
Well, what is next is that, you know, we had a promise from the Leader of Government Business in Parliament, who doubles as the Majority Leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. He promised that before budget comes in, you know, RTI will be passed.
Unfortunately.
Budget is tomorrow, and we know that there is no way that RTI is going to pass before budget comes in tomorrow. But we assume that, you know, he said it out of, you know, maybe exuberance and the pressure mounting. We have heard the Right Honourable Speaker say that by close of year. And so we are holding Parliament to that promise of the Right Honourable Speaker, who is the Chair of Parliament, who is the main man so far as the House is concerned. And we are going to monitor it every step of the way. And we will be on their heels, you know, every step of the way to ensure that before end of year, we'll have a right to information bill that is not only passed, but a credible one that, you know, has made all the necessary amendments that we are calling for.
Thank you very much, Sami Obeng, for your time. And I've been speaking with Sami Obeng. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where some landowners at Abontemago in the Bosomtwe district of the region are in a state of shock after their buildings were demolished, while the chief of Eyase is alleged to have pulled down the structures without recourse to any legal process. A report by Beatrice Spiogabra.
Information gathered by TV3 indicates the land in question has been subject of litigation between the chiefs of Abontemago and Eyase, a contention being investigated at the Menchia Palace. Some private individuals who bought lands from the Abontemago chief to put up their homes were directed to stop construction until the rightful owner is determined by the Ansatehene. until the rightful owner is determined by the Asantehene, but without recourse to any legal processes. 10 structures on the disputed land were pulled down on November 4. Some of the victims appealed to the Asantehene to intervene.
A double flat, 3 bedrooms, self-contained, and also 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and so
my house is a double flat, a 10-bedroom in total.
10 bedrooms, as I heard that I didn't count.
Me ma proton so MOB me told me home can me say ebia proton e media.
No one has questioned me for 5 years since I started building my house.
Na no kwesiada anopa me ho na me nya call na wose ebu dan.
Wo de wo be ba bebu a ho. Ma ye hu court order kran so bia ni ho ebesi kwesiada da.
We did not see any court order before the demolition.
Because I said court ni adwumansa na o ma ye sa de no.
The head of the Agogosie family, Yao Owusu, who sold the lands to the developers, insists the chief of Iyase carried out an illegality. Meanwhile, the case has been reported to the Asokwa Divisional Police Command. Acting head of the Police Public Relations Unit in Ashanti Region, Corporal Prince Dogbache, told TV3 News 3 persons have been arrested but granted police inquiry bail.
We had a report of demolition embarked upon by a certain Akwesi Ajiman, who currently is not in the jurisdiction of Ghana. But in the course of our investigation, we arrested 3 individuals who were hired by the said Akwesi Ajiman, who are assisting us in our investigation. Meanwhile, Akwesi Ajiman was contacted and he gave us his word that he will return to Ghana by the end of this week. So we are waiting. And once he returns, we are going to continue with our investigation.
The police say investigations are still ongoing to identify persons who carried out the demolition.
Away from the Ashanti region, a member of the legal team of the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, has described the Akufo-Addo government as non-performing despite the huge number of ministers sworn into office. Meanwhile, the MP for Bantama, Daniel Abuaji, says government is on course and has brought relief onto the people of Ghana while they spoke on New Day.
We vote them to be able to improve upon the social welfare needs of the people. But if after you come to government, the situation is deteriorating, did we go or did we come? And that's why I'm saying that a government that cannot fix simple footbridges is not worth a government. And so in all sectors of this economy, we are in difficult situations. Times are hard, you know that. And I have told you that with the current style of this administration, it's going to be difficult for you to see any improvement because the president cannot crack the whip. We've come to a standstill.
What did NDC promise us? Under the president, late President Atamils, if you remember, they promised us better Ghana, but they delivered bitter Ghana. That's what they did.
That's why you were voted in for change.
Exactly, and we are not complaining. And what we are saying is that we are delivering on our promises. In the first place, we have to fix the mess that we inherited from NDC. All right? All the instabilities in every corner of this country. He's talking about the price of water. I mean, what do you call it? Pure water.
Pure water, right.
If it was on the NDC, do you know what it will be?
No.
It will be 1 cedi today.
How do you know that?
How? Look at the rate of inflation. They left us at what? 15.4.
In other news, the people of Kete in the Karachi West District of the Volta region have rubbished claims that the creation of the OT region is a political agenda and a recipe for chaos and tribal conflict. While the chief of Kete, Major Abu Baba, retired at a press conference called on the Christian Council, the Peace Council Office of the National Chief Imam and the National House of Chiefs to break their silence and call persons who are stoking tribal sentiment to order. Well, joining me on the phone line is Selom Amenya, who is at the press briefing. And good afternoon, Selom, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Portia.
Now, Selom, are the people of Kete in support of the creation of the OT region?
Exactly so. They are in support of the creation of the OT region. They contend that it is something that they've dreamt of for the past 40 years. And they also enumerated the fact that the objections that have been raised by people are baseless. They looked at constitutional matters and the state of affairs, which they say that per Article 5 of the 1992 Constitution, the committee that was set up by the President to look into this matter has worked as it is enshrined in the laws of Ghana. They also spoke on the fact that those who are stoking ethnic sentiment, they do not have the right to do so. Because when you look at the structure of the Volta region, they constitute about 65% of the Volta region in total, and they are the most deprived. They said when you look at the Volta region with about 7 high courts, those in the OT enclave do not have one. We have about 107 doctors in the Volta region who are all working in the south. So they are saying that this is born out of years of deprivation and also neglect. And with the political sentiments being raised, they're claiming that when you look at during the 2016 elections, both candidates, that is President Mahama and also Akufo-Addo, that is the candidate at that time, all promised to create the region when they are voted into power. So there cannot be anything like a political agenda nor ethnic sentiment so far as the creation is concerned. They are in support of it and urging their members to vote massively come the referendum.
Now, Salom, what were some of the reservations that was raised at the press briefing?
Well, they were unhappy with comments by some religious bodies, especially the moderator of the EP Church, one Reverend S.S. Agidi, which they claim was reported in the Ghanaian Times in January, and also the chief of the Asogli state, that is Toby Afeda the 14th. They claim that he's opposed the creation of the region, and they are uncomfortable to it. They contend that they do not owe allegiance to any chief so far as the Volta region is concerned. So they want the OT region created. They are in full support of it. That is why they called on the Christian Council, the Peace Council, the National Secretariat of the Office of the National Chief of Imam, and also the Council of State and the House of Chiefs to come and make sure that they call these people to order.
Thank you very much, Salom Amenya, for your time. And still on the creation of new regions, some residents in the West Mamprusi municipality of the Northern region Tuesday hit the streets of Wale Wale to canvass for massive turnout and a yes vote in the December 27 referendum towards the proposed Northeast region. 6 districts from the current Northern region forms the proposed Northeast region with about 200,000 registered voters. A report by Tanko Mohammed Rabiu.
The Justice Brobe Commission recommended the creation of 6 more regions to bring the total number in the country to 16. 2 of the new regions will be carved out of the current Northern region, that is, Northeast and Savannah regions. To make the proposed Northeast region a reality, some residents in the West Mamprusi municipality have kick-started a campaign for a yes vote for the creation of the Northeast region. The residents marched through the principal streets of Wale Wale amid singing and display of placards. The municipal chief executive for West Mamprusi municipality, Abu Mohammed, said the creation of the Northeast region has come at a time when the 6 assemblies under the proposed region are lacking behind in development. The recommendations of the commission have since been referred to the EC to organize a referendum in the affected areas as required by the 1992 Constitution.
Well, coming up is the MTN video reports.
It is barely 20-30 meters away from the market. According to the 2010 population and housing census, there are about 250 of such sites in the Hunter West district. Only 14 of such sites are approved. The proximity of this dump site to the market is a major concern to residents in Ahanta West, precisely Apawa. This is clearly a calamity waiting to strike. Officialdom are well aware of this looming danger. Ade Boatin reporting from Apawa in the Ahanta West District.
You can also send your video report on WhatsApp via the number 05514330044. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly. Just stay with us. Hello again, it's now time for business, and expectations are low ahead of this week's budget presentation by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Although this will be the first budget reading in 5 years without an IMF conditionality, analysts are skeptical about the outcome of Thursday's program. While speaking on TV3's business and economic analysis show Business Focus, the editor of Gold Street Business, Toma Amiye, says government has little room to maneuver considering the very limited fiscal space.
Government is fully aware of the fact that because of that lack of fiscal space, we've virtually not had a capital budget over the past 2 years. And people are crying for, infrastructure and all that. All right. And government claims that they have some very bright ideas about thinking outside the box to implement capital projects. Okay. For example, this bauxite deal we have with the Chinese, all right. I know there are more than 40 PPPs, public-private partnerships, in the pipeline at the Public Investment Division of the Ministry of Finance. And I'm looking forward to see how they are going to try and leverage on those things to get out of this problem of lack of fiscal space, preventing us from doing the things we need to do to expand our economic capacity.
If you walk down the streets of Accra, people feel very gloomy about the future. They don't see jobs coming. They don't see their businesses growing. They don't see their debtors paying. And so, in a sense, what the ministry says, which is very true, cannot be seen at the bottom. And that's one challenge which I'm wondering how they're going to address it. You've got a horrendous liquidity crunch on at the moment. You've got absolutely zero finance going to SMEs. And as such, you're not creating, the only jobs you are creating are jobs that are backed by the government.
To be honest, any additional revenue generation opportunities will only come back to those of us who are already contributing. In the midterm review, we saw an increase in the personal income tax rate of 35% for incomes over 10,000 cedis. I know that didn't really go down well with a lot of employers and employees because, of course, they've planned for the year. You've determined your staff salaries. It's all going nicely. Then suddenly, mid-year, your employees experience a reduction in net pay. What does that do for staff morale? What does that mean for employers? Are they going to increase salaries and therefore increase their costs and the cost of doing business? Or should employees just, suck it up and deal with, all these other challenges?
Meanwhile, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahene has challenged the Finance Ministry to present a strategic plan that will stabilize the city in the 2019 budget reading. Well, he did explain that without a currency stabilization strategy, the positive effect of recapitalization will whittle away.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will present the 2019 Budget and Economic Policy Statement on November 15. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahene projects capital of banks will shrink, thereby creating the need for another recapitalization exercise if government does not immediately employ a long-term solution to address the currency's depreciation.
The Minister of Finance should come up with a concrete strategies, both short-term, long-term, medium term. If you capitalize and the currency has not become stable or is not stable over the period, if you haven't even capitalized, it could have been better. The devaluation would destroy the real value of the money. In 2009, the cedi to the dollar was 1.43. Today, as I speak to you, is about 4.798. If my calculations are right, currency has depreciated about 234%.
He argued Ghana will have to earn more foreign exchange from transactions to stabilize the cedi, while recommending a national export agenda that transcends political party tenure.
We sit down and think that the currency can stop by itself. No. We must have a conscious strategy for this nation, and especially Bank of Ghana. They should be mindful that it's not just the recapitalizing, pumping more money that will solve it. They should actually think about a serious export drive where we have competitive and comparative advantage. Otherwise, by 2020, we'll be calling for recapitalization of banks because the capital will be whittled away.
In 2017, the Bank of Ghana issued a new minimum capital requirement for banks. Effectively, universal banks in Ghana are required to raise their minimum paid-up capital to 400 million Ghana cedis by December 2018. Despite concerns and objections raised by many banks, the central bank has indicated the decision still stands.
In other business news, the winner of the maiden edition of the presidential pitch competition, Vanessa Aisha Liman, has urged startups and young entrepreneurs to take advantage of programs and platforms that offer information on access to funding opportunities. While according to her, startups lack information on funding sources, thereby making it difficult for them to raise the right funding for their businesses.
Most startups in Ghana complain of lack of access to cheaper credit. Unlike other countries where there are systems to support young entrepreneurs, such as cheaper loans, angel investors, government support, among others, the interest rate of financial institutions in the country remains high. Speaking ahead of the Midday General Startup Fair and Funding Summit, winner of the maiden presidential pitch, Vanessa Aisha Liman, says there are avenues for funding, but startups lack information on them.
I think most people don't know about that. That is why they think there are no avenues or there's no funding for entrepreneurs. Most people don't know much about it. They don't read more about it. But I think they are trying their best.
About 50 startups are expected to patronize the two-day fair, which will have participants exhibit their products and services. There will also be free health screening for members of the general public. The event is open to the general public to come and enjoy the massive discount offered by exhibitors at the Aviation Social Center on the 16th and 17th of November.
And that's it for the latest in the world of business. Coming up is Sport News with Yao Ufusulabi.
The black maidens of Ghana have been excelling on the international scene, in fact, doing better than their male counterparts. Just yesterday, thrashing Uruguay by 5-0. On Saturday, Ghana is set to host the Women's African Cup of Nations right here. Today on What Do You Think? I'm asking a simple question. Why is there so little attention on women's football despite the seemingly good performance? Let's find out.
We just prefer the male football. You know, they do so much. Even in the Western world, you get to see more of the men playing so much. You know, we follow the Premier Leagues and the La Ligas and all they are all men. They also disappoint us most of the times.
Men football, how they advertise and people are putting the resource in. I think so. And many of us too, they are not much interested in women's football because the government is not helping so much. That is why.
The authorities, they have to put effort on what? On the women so that the women can also get effort to learn how to train themselves and become great in future, because women's football can help we Ghanaians. Let me say educational sector like this, because it's now good for everybody to educate. So when the women's football come great, it will help we Ghanaians to also exhibit our nation and also become good in future.
We don't pay attention for women because we see them that they were women, so they can't do anything. We have to appreciate them. If we continue to appreciate them, them also will fail and continue what they can do.
I'm on a phone to me, Bob, or my GD. Say, Ghana, so no more modern. Yes, so yeah, mano. To see, I know dear Mamma and yeah, man, see a yebi. And as I say, Mamma to pay a man and I see a coster.
The media that probably didn't highlight it so much, so you are actually to blame, so to say. It's not like they're not interested, but the question is, Are they aware of this, what is happening? And again, it comes back to the media. A lot of Ghanaians are aware of, let's say, Amazon or Alibaba, because we've spoken so much about it somewhere in the media. But a lot of Ghanaians are not aware of the African platform, the Ghanaian platform, which is also a trading platform for all local manufacturers. So it's about the media giving attention. So whatever you guys give attention to, no, we'll know. As the saying goes, whatever you give attention to grows.
This afternoon in this segment, it appears all is not well between Sally Ekuya-Mensah and her husband and business mogul Dr. Kweku. Ekuya is the fourth wife of the businessman, and the two have been married for the past 8 years. In a post on her Instagram page, the 2011 winner of TV3's Ghana's Most Beautiful Beauty Pageant claimed she had learned her lessons and she thinks it's time for her to quit her marriage. The post read, "Sometimes you just have to learn how to walk away. When it's not making you happy and it's rather stressing you, you take a bow. My marriage of 8 years is over. I won't give anyone the right to take away my happiness. I'm walking away from everything that is stressing me." The post has since been deleted. In other entertainment news, high life musician and Lumba lookalike Anoche Supremo is suffering from a tumor that has blurred his vision. The singer revealed he can no longer see with his left eye. "I can't see with my left eye. It is gradually bulging out of the eye socket. I'm really suffering. For about 3 weeks now, I have been indoors," he noted. Anoche Supremo, popularly known as DL Jr., was discovered in 2010 in Just Like You, a reality TV show. The promising talent changed his name from DL Jr. to Anoche Supremo after he was sued by Daddy Lumba, ordering him to stop using his name and stop singing his songs at programs. Well, that's it for Midday Live. Thanks so much for your company. My name is Portia Gabo. Good afternoon.